The question about member state was excellent, and we're going to try and continue answering it in the next session. Please don't go away. We have one last round. So we would like to invite our next speakers. Thomas?
My mic is dead. No, it works. Professor Bożena Kamińska-Kaczmarek, welcome. Albert King from NHS. Wendy Rayner, Marcin Kaucz, and Piotr Nowak. We invite you very warmly to the stage for our third round of planning actions.
Excellent. So welcome all. We will try and speed up this round. So I do apologize because Casimir is over there hand singling. But we are in the last round looking at how can we drive innovation forward. So all this weight falls onto your shoulders. So I just don't want to take any pressure away. But we have an excellent panel, and I think I want to start. Bożena, do I say it correctly? I do apologize.
Yes.
Thank you. Because you have a very excellent multidisciplinary project that is going on at the moment with a very critical mission to solve a much needed pediatric need. And how do you manage to actually, because this is, you're driving innovation forward through collaboration. How hard it is, how easy, how fantastic. I'm not trying to put any a positive instrument, but I'm a pro for collaboration. But how do you manage it?
So I'm representing here HEAT-GLIO project, which is a Horizon Health Mission on Cancer project. And the idea came from the fact that we were already interested in tumor-host interactions. We were studying this for many years and in high-grade gliomas in adult, and we decided that the unmet need, in that sense that there is no cure for these pediatric tumors, unmet need is really to solve the issue in pediatric brain tumors. And we, at the same time, we had several very interesting mechanisms discovered which could be targeted, and several molecules almost ready, along with carriers. Everything stems from my previous collaboration. So actually, I wrote the proposal together with my colleague from the lab, and we invited people with whom we already collaborated. So I must say that this was a crazy adventure to write this proposal just before Easter. A lot of work, but we were lucky to get this. And actually, fortunately, there was no too many reasons to implement the project, even if one of the partners was from Canada and another partner was from UK. And at that time, UK could not be financed by the committee. And I must say that project is going very well. We do a lot of activities. Last weekend, we actually presented the project at the picnic, scientific picnic at the National Stadium, and really hundreds of people and children came to see brain tumors in mice under microscope. Apparently, it was very funny. So we do quite a lot to show what we are doing to disseminate this idea into the public. And I had one idea, which is, I think, quite important, related to this project, because I have this impression that companies are working to put product on the market, which means that they are targeting the most common diseases. And many diseases, like the pediatric brain tumors or rare brain tumors or rare diseases, are left behind because companies do not expect to make big market and make big money. And here is the role for European Commission to select the area where indeed there is unmet need, but there is also no really environment, biotechnological or small company environment to address this kind of issues. And I believe that this is a very important role. Another I'm thinking about continuation of this project because we really need to go further with the idea, and we are working really hard. You know, sometimes we are getting samples from the hospital Friday afternoon, and the first processing takes 12 hours, and you have to come next day. So the team is working sometimes overnight and during the weekend, because everybody wants to go further. We really have molecules which are attractive, tested in many aspects, so we want to go further. And with this issue, with this aspect, there is an issue, because someone was talking about consistency of funding. So in US, when you have a very well-going grant, it's much easier to get money for continuation. In Europe, after 3 years, we will be looking urgently for money to continue with the project, and we will be, you know, competing with people who are starting with new ideas. So I would like to consider authorities about the idea of consistency of funding, evaluation, but also consistency of funding, because 3 years with ambitious project with animal models is just not enough to get to the phase which is important. And what I found really difficult, maybe this is the Polish issue, I'm representing academia, and we don't have really contact with the companies. For example, we have right now excellent molecules tested in animal models. We are ready to go. And I have experience with biotech companies, because sometimes our interests overlap and we can work together. But when I'm coming with my molecules tested in preclinical studies, it's really hard to find someone who will go along with me. And in NCBR, which is great agency, gives a lot of money, it's for academics, it's very hard to get funding, even if before there were some streams of funding which allowed. And for example, if biotech company are applying, quite often they subcontract academics because of the know-how, expertise, and availability of equipment. So why not to open this a bit more for people from academia who are interested in applied studies? I had very good funding from National Research Center, but they will not found translational studies.
This is where clusters can help. So this is the power of clusters, but I'm preaching to my own. But moving to Albert and Wendy, you're running a study at the moment where you're connecting different countries with different ecosystems and because you're looking at data fragmentation and into healthcare supply chains. I know that Greece is part of that, so we can specifically talk about that over lunch and the challenges you probably have to face, and I do apologize, but tell us, how do you create and fostering that collaboration, how important it is?
I think probably if I start, it's probably worth just clarifying the different roles between Albert and myself. So I work for the Scottish Government, and I head up our circular economy programme within the healthcare sector. And Albert is our Chief Data Officer at NHS Scotland. So we're coming at this from different approaches. And I think bringing people on board is identifying a common problem or a common risk, essentially, between the different national groups. Now, we're working with a number of clusters. Now, we're all buying medical devices, and we're really focusing on medical devices from a global pool, from a global supply chain. And we're identifying that there are significant resilience risks associated with that supply chain. So it doesn't matter if I'm in Denmark or Greece or Poland, it is exactly the same risks. Now, it's probably worth just highlighting what some of those are, because that gives a little bit of perspective. So we know that there's a risk in terms of resilient supply. From data that we have, and we have quite comprehensive data, we know that around about 50% of all the medical devices we use are actually single use. We know that of those, 30% of those have had supply chain disruption in the last 12 to 18 months. And one of the main causes for that supply chain disruption is associated with material scarcity. And so the last 2 days have been really interesting, but they've been focusing on business models about bringing more to market. And I always describe it as a little bit of a train along a track. And what we're trying to do is jump on that train and hope that we're all going in the same direction. The reality is that we're going to run out of track very, very quickly. And it doesn't matter where we are in Europe or where we are in the world. We're facing exactly the same problems in terms of raw material scarcity, disruptions from geopolitical changes in terms of getting things to market. With that brings financial insecurity and price volatility of those products. So our focus really has been, how do we address those common problems? How do we identify them? And then how do we put in solutions which will work irrespective of the organization of healthcare systems?
So I should probably start by saying, as Chief Data Officer for NHS Scotland, how awesome it is to be in a space where what I've heard today is that data is at the heart of solving so many of the problems that we face. So that's a big win for me today. And just building on what Wendy was explaining about the challenge that we face and that we want to solve using data, when Wendy and I looked at this challenge, at this problem, one of the things we noticed was that people were spending a lot of time really laboriously trying to gather together the data that they need to answer those types of questions and to model those types of supply chains and make better decisions and predict the impact of policy interventions or supply shocks. And that simply isn't scalable, right? And that's partly because our supply chains are global and they're really, really complex and we don't describe those data in common ways. But the thing is, we also know that that data already exists. It's out there. We're just really not very good at getting it together. We create a lot of friction for our supply chain. So we really wanted to challenge innovators in academia and in industry to try and solve that problem. And so that was our hypothesis, and we've actually tested it. So with an initiative we have in Scotland called CivTech, it's been going for about 10 years. We put that challenge out there to innovators across industry and academia. We wanted to fail fast and see if there is something to this. And we've actually managed to show that there probably is something in there. So we've worked with 2 or 3 companies from our supply chain and with some really innovative companies to bring that data together and to allow us to model some of these solutions. And so, yeah, tackling that global complexity through bringing together some innovation, taking a bit of a risk, and actually collaborating and creating value for everybody through that supply chain, I think is key to unlocking the value and actually driving that collaboration and getting to some of the solutions that we need. And what we're really excited about as part of the ReHeal program, as you explained, is that we think that we can work with an even bigger pool of collaborators together to create fundamentally a data asset that's going to unlock lots of benefit for everybody across the whole supply chain and across the whole healthcare ecosystem in order to address the challenges that Wendy explained so well.
So there is a whole other aspect and a whole other gap that we didn't identify in the previous panel. But I want to ask Marcin if procurement can be a solution. So we have new development, new technology. We have a healthy and stable supply chain, let's say, globally. Can we incorporate these solutions into healthcare through better procurement systems or easier procurement systems that we can implement, perhaps?
Okay. I was promised to be able to show one picture. I wonder what
And
Thank you.
so I do apologize.
Okay. So I would like the Polish audience to look for Sucha Beskidzka Hospital. Foreigners tried not to do that. This is Polish, the second most difficult language in the world. So just Polish people look for Sucha Beskidzka Hospital and then go to graphics. Just not the website, but the graphics. Because you'll see the results. And that was my point of showing the picture. I assume that you know the saying, you are what you eat. And I believe that we probably agree with that. And you are what you buy. So if a unit, hospital, and other organization starts buying things, they are actually building the organization. Procurement is ununderstood, I don't know whether that's such a word like this, but it's not understood key element of building strategy, a building organization. If you don't know what you're buying, if you're buying just some crap, then don't be surprised that you have problems in the organization. What I do for the last 16 years is doing something that's called innovative public procurement. And innovative public procurement is trying to make a switch, which is pretty difficult to do, from buying what they want to sell you into telling them what you want. So you are voicing out your need. I want that. In the case of Sucha Beskidzka that I wanted to refer to, we define our need as a thermal comfort for patients and personnel. We didn't say we want to have air conditioning. We didn't say we want something else. We just want to have comfort. And we went through the quite intensive process of technical dialogue in which we were meeting different organizations, different suppliers, and try to understand what actually we should buy to fulfill our need. And we chose something that you will see on that picture, which is photovoltaic, sunscreens that are above the windows. So then sun doesn't come to the room, so it doesn't heat it that much. You already used the word photovoltaic. So you will see on this picture the huge rows of photovoltaic installation just above the windows, which means that we were able to lower the temperature substantially. We are not happy, but substantially. And on the top of that, we also had some 5% of the electricity being produced by sun. This project was done in 2015 with the developing technologies. I believe that at the moment, if we install it again, we will get something like 12% of the energy from something that is not being used. Because if you have a southern facade, there's nothing there. You're not going to do anything with that. When you put this photovoltaic installation, you get extra space when you can put quite a lot of systems to make it really working. So that's about innovative procurement. Just try to get out of the way that you usually do things, I do things, into understanding what you need and then voicing it out. If you don't say that, they wouldn't know that you want it. So you have to tell them you want it, so they can work for you and solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So the message is to matching the need or the something that is delivered, the solution to the needs.
Yeah, because
big message.
Yes, if you go to the supermarket, you just go something that's on the shelf. You just buy it because it's there. But if this is something you really want, no, this is something that's available. So this is about saying, hello, the world, I want that, I'll pay for that. And then some people will come and tell you that they can do that in a way that is more appropriate to what you really need.
Okay. And Piotr, is this your experience in digital transformation into healthcare? Is that the same model? How do we do it? Do we go to the innovators? Do the innovators have to come to us? How have you, in your experience, how has that been working? What's the best model?
My answer is on the different levels of cooperation because we are experienced in, for example, public administration e-services, and what I must say, we have here good examples of public-private cooperation and successful implementation of innovation. We can perceive, for example, e-patient platforms in Poland as such. This cooperation between IT developers and public institutions and ministries. And there's many more such experiences and examples we can find. Very effective way from our point of view is also using ecosystems like EAT Health, or we also using others, but many voices here were about TRL level and increasing it to the market level. And I believe that EIT is helping in that way. This is very strong ecosystem of academia, startups, and also investors and big companies. So we are using it, and this is also my experience. And we are also working with small companies or with single ones, and here, the crucial thing is proper business model and proper model of commercialization. And this is also mentioned here during the conversation, but yes, this is not very obvious thing to find a proper company to cooperate when we are a research institution like our institute. And it's not very easy task to use the proper business model and value proposition for that. So yes.
Any questions from the audience? Any comments? Any examples from your ecosystems on any of the topics that we have been discussing? No, I think everybody's trying to go to lunch. But I have one last question for all. Oh, no, Casimir, you do, yes. You're going to tell us to be quick. No, tell us. He doesn't want to. Okay. So one last question is, we have asked you, do your institutions have the mechanisms to quickly initiate pilot deployments of innovation? And we have some excellent examples. Well, and some saying not really. No, not yet. Okay. But some are excellent examples. But the last question for this session is, if you could, it's the question that we had before and we have been asking to everyone. If you could imagine what life sciences or healthcare or health innovation is by 2050, what would that be?
2050.
2050. Is that what I said? 2050?
Yeah.
That's what I said. So what would it be in an ideal world? What we should be striving towards?
You're looking for a short answer, I'm guessing. Local and resilient.
And resilience, yes?
So I would love to see more innovation happening in the healthcare system. I'm going to say that, aren't I, because I'm part of the healthcare system. But I think often we see innovation or research as being something that happens at a bit of a distance and that then we somehow need to kind of adopt into our systems. And that takes a long, long time, right? For a whole range of reasons. And part of it's to do with the way we actually build our data assets and our digital infrastructures. So let's do more of that inside the system, and then we'll get more rapid adoption and better impact. And let's do better than 2050 as well. Let's do it by 2030. Come on, let's challenge ourselves.
Okay, that's a big challenge.
It's in 5 years.
I believe in personalized medicine. We are not yet that because we still don't have good methods to compile all the data about the patients or to get enough data about the patients, but we are not far from there. And if you employ AI to analyze the data, we will have AI Dr. House who will provide you the answer, even if it is not obvious for everybody who studied medicine. So I believe that this would be the biggest challenge, to somehow harmonize all the patients' data and analyze this in the way to provide the perfect diagnosis and look for the best drug for the issue.
Mm-hmm.
So I could give the opposite example, exactly opposite. I collaborate with Jagiellonian Center for Technology Transfer, and their major problem is that they don't have projects to support. So if you complain about that you have no support, just try to either ask for that or just to create the system like the Jagiellonian University, where it's a special organization that helps scientists to commercialize what they started doing. And I think that that's one of the answers. So, and it actually works with quite many of Polish universities. That there's somebody who has knowledge about patent, for instance, or all these legal cases or business cases that could help those who want to really develop and become commercialized. I'm not saying this is easy. If it was easy, we would do it like ages ago. Nothing is easy. Life is not easy.
And I think that it will be prevention of diseases, and use of personalized medicine will help it with this aim. And in such long perspective, it will be easy to analyze and to see consequences of act by day, and that's why we will be more successful in helping people.
Mm-hmm. So local and resilient, and obviously making the innovation internally to the healthcare setting, that's what I get, and supporting. And this is the excellent role, and this is the mission of Klaster. So I'm looking at you, Casimir, and myself, and all the other clusters that are here. So thank you so much for a great panel. It has been fantastic. Please give a round of applause to everyone.
Thank you.
A lot of insights. We will be collecting all this information, and then we will have some closing remarks. But there will be a follow-up on the some of the topics that we have been discussing during the day and the infographics. So thank you so much, and we hope to see you again.